So they'll be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. In the last episode we saw a few things happen, like some expansion over here into the Madagascar island over in here. Then we also saw the continued unification of the Clarion Union by uniting over here with the two southern states. And then we also saw the stalemated war between Landia and Nambium. But today's episode is a big one, as today will be ending the Age of Empires. This age is coming to an end, but now we need to ask ourselves, how is it gonna come to an end? Well, let's waste no time and get straight into this video. Though before anything happens, we'll have the Clarion Union finally achieving its great goal of uniting all of Anatolia and all of Turkey, and now the Clarion Union is fully completed and the pact has been fulfilled. But now we need to go back to something I have said in the previous episode, and this is your daily reminder to go watch the previous videos if you haven't already, as you are getting spoiled. But this event is none other than the marriage of Zim of Valens the 29th. The next supposed leader of Merodria is about to get married, and he's gonna get married right around here in the Nile. His marriage takes place over here into this Merodrian major city in the Nile Delta, and it takes place in a pretty big cathedral over here into this major city. And everything is going well, you know, people are enjoying this marriage, everything is going well, people are dancing, people are singing. It seems like nothing is gonna go wrong. But guess what, something is gonna go very wrong. And it is at around 2:21 p.m. when 91 evil-minded men come over here into this city to the wedding of Zim of Valens the 29th. When everyone is about to go into the church, these men come and barricade the church and light it all on fire, killing everyone that was inside the church. But luckily there was one very important person that escaped. That person is none other than Zim of Valens the 28th. The current emperor of Merodria. He was also meant to go into the church, but he stayed outside because he wanted to really tell something to his wife, what no one will ever find out. But he stayed outside and he managed to escape this assassination, but his son Zim of Valens the 29th didn't. Yep, he dies at his own marriage alongside his wife. But Zim of Valens the 28th will be very freaked out by this assassination attempt, and he will go on horseback right back to the Merodrian capital and basically tell all their armies and everyone what had happened and what terrible assassination had just taken place. And now the Merodrian Empire will gather all of its armies, all of its special armies for situations like this, like an assassination of an important state figure, and they all come over here, all the armies over here, back into this major city, and they see all the 91 culprits flee. Where they flee? Well, it turns out they flee once again, like many centuries ago, into Teria. Well, it turns out that some of these people that have been left behind will get interrogated by the Merodrian Empire, and it will turn out that they are actually successors of the former Al-Democran terrorist organization that resided over here many centuries ago. And when Zim of Valens the 28th hears this, he will do exactly the same thing that his ancestors did. And it is on March 11th, 748 AD that the Merodrian Empire barges into Teria. Like how they did many centuries ago, they hop into Teria and start to invade it and raid the nation in search for the 91 Al-Democra successors. They'll go over here and start to pillage some of the Terian major cities. Also, they'll go around here into this major city, and how they did many centuries prior, they'll go into each house and execute everyone that they find on the spot that they feel like is a culprit of this assassination. The invasion, or the raid better said, will go very well, and Merodria will take 4 Terian major cities. But then this news of the Merodrian invasion will reach the Terian capital. The current leader King Alan X will be very mad about this, and compared to what Teria had did centuries earlier, they'll send a letter over to the Merodrian Empire. The letter will get opened by a Merodrian nobleman and handed over to the leader, and the letter is very shocking. And the letter turns out that it's a declaration of war by Teria on Merodria. Teria will no longer stay behind and let all the people, all these nations, all these ethnicities get killed by Merodria. They'll no longer allow for their people to get raided and to die. So with this, Teria declares war on Merodria and will have the start of one of the greatest wars in history, the biggest so far, the War of Empires. Terian elite forces and the King Alan X, will come over here to this front and proceed to save their nation as they push Merodria back over here into this Cadousian front, re-liberating two of the major cities they had in here, followed by them pushing Merodria over here into these fronts, but they kinda stop advancing over here into this major city, as this is one of the biggest major cities of Merodria, being the former capital of the nation of Kadosh. But Teria will see success in repelling these attacks and even pushing back to the Merodrian border and start to do some pushes of their own. And then we'll see Teria send its armies over here into Merodria and also start to invade it, quickly taking one major city and splitting Merodria here into these two parts and taking another major city. And now it turns out that maybe the Merodrian Empire was not as prepared for this war as Teria is starting to do well. Let's not forget though, Merodria is into an alliance with the Roman Empire and the nation of Galicia over here into the Iberian Peninsula. So when Teria starts to invade into Merodria, Merodria will call on to its two allies, the Roman Empire and Galicia, to join the war and help them destroy Teria. But it turns out really neither of these nations' attacks will get repelled that much, as Merodria does take a major city back and they reconnect their land over here, but also Teria comes in and takes back this major city and almost pushes Merodria out of their nation. But when the front between Teria and Merodria looks around like this, we'll have something very bad happening for the Star Alliance, as Aldicta comes and declares war on the stars. And Aldicta is aware that going here into the capital and take it is far from the best idea, so they'll do something arguably way more smarter, arguably way more dumber. They'll send their armies straight into the north and take as much land as they can. They'll hop across all of this land of Merodria, they'll essentially pillage it and take it over like this, and Merodria is caught off guard by this attack, as they kinda saw Aldicta joining the war, but also on the other side they thought it would stay neutral, as they might have been a bit scared of Merodria. But at the end of the day, no, Aldicta joins and absolutely crashes Merodria, as they also go here into this major city and take it and cause a lot of trouble and a lot of issues for Merodria, as now their capital is under threat. Merodrian forces will be pushed back from the Cadousian regions down here onto this front so that they don't lose their capital, and this will be perfect for Teria and what they are about to do. As now Teria re-liberates all of its territory, hops into these major cities and takes them all, and then they go around here and start to threaten these two major cities of Merodria. Merodria has just seen a huge defeat in this war, and they have lost almost all of their Cadousian regions, which could lead to Teria leaking in over here into Africa and collapse Merodria. Merodria will be successful in repelling Aldicta though, mostly around these capital areas, as this is where they send most of their troops. They take back that major city over in there, and then they send some more of their armies over in here and move across these territories and take back another major city, and then they go over here and re-liberate all of their part over here into the coastal part where Aldicta had not that many troops, and this is how the front will end up looking like. But there's a certain someone who is not very happy, and this is the Romani Empire, as they start to see Merodria as actually being weak and not being able to defend itself. And the Romani Empire is about to get even more upset when someone new joins the war on the side of Teria. And we'll have the Triangle Alliance joining the war on the side of Teria, and they'll declare war on the Star Alliance to regain back their old territories. And this will kinda unofficially put Aldicta and Teria into the Triangle Alliance, but for now this doesn't really matter, and what actually matters is the war. As Stanish now starts to invade over here into these parts of the Romani Empire and take these two major cities, having a lot of success, but then the Romani Empire retaliates. They are quite strong, and they'll repel away Danish from this front and take back this major city and push them back out. Something even worse happens, as now the Romani Empire starts to invade over here into Danish, takes one major city, and then they do something horrible as they make a landing over in here into the Adriatic Sea and push towards this major city, and now it seems like Danish is in a lot of trouble. Actually not really, as Danish will now repel away these attacks. They didn't really have that many troops sent over here actually, and they retake their major city. But they do not manage to kick the Romani Empire back out of their nation, as the Romani Empire is still the third strongest nation in the world. Now going to Andalusia, they are not really strong, they cannot really fight both Galicia and the Romani Empire, so they'll do a pretty smart strategy. It's called send all your units up to their capital and cause as much chaos as possible, and this is exactly what they do, as they encircle their capital, and from here they take these parts, they go and take this major city, and actually this encirclement ends up so bad that Galicia actually loses its capital. Turns out Galicia all this time was more of a Romani Empire puppet state, and this will be shown in this war, as actually Andalusia will be quite successful in invading them, despite the fact that neither Andalusia is that strong. But all their hopes come crashing down when the Romani Empire sent its troops and they re-liberate Andalusia and then start to advance into Andalusia, and they destroy them. They absolutely smack them around, take these two major cities, also including the fact that Andalusia doesn't really have that many major cities. And then when you also include the fact that they are being invaded by two nations, it's not really very good for them, as now they lose this huge plot of land over here to Galicia. But Andalusia doesn't completely fall, as they hold on to these coastal parts with their capital and their last major city. Despite the successes of the Romani Empire, in Merodria is not going any better at all, as now Teria proceeds to fully kick out the Merodrian Empire out of Asia, as they take the entire Cadocian region and they take the entire Sinai Peninsula, and they are now stuck at the gates between the African and Asian continents. This is while Aldicta continues its pushes around these areas of Merodria, as now the whole southern division of Merodria is pretty much dead, and this area over here into the west of the nation is considered unrecapturable, as Merodria doesn't really have that many armies to retake this area, so they are mostly putting all of it here into their capital to ensure that no one takes it. But then the leader Zimo of Zealens the 28th has a rage outburst, and he takes all of its armies and push it down over here, pushing back the Aldictan advancements over into here. And then they send their offensive armies over the Aldictan border, starting to invade it. They take these two major cities and near the gates of the Aldictan capital, but then they stop and then they retreat. This is the first time something like this has happened to Merodria, where they just kinda start invading and then all of a sudden they fall very far behind. As now Aldicta sends their armies back across the border, having even more success. They take this major city and then they send their armies over here towards these coastal cities of Merodria, which are some of their biggest major cities, and now we are gonna find out why this has all happened. Whoa! Well, it turns out that a huge rebellion pops over here into the Merodrian Empire, here into the Algeli regions, back where the old nation used to reside. These people, well, being ethnic Algerians, as now they rebel from the Merodrian Empire and are looking forward towards regaining their independence, as they take back that little enclave in there, and then they start to push over here into these Moroccan regions, where even more rebellions pop out into this major city. Then the two groups unite into one, and then they push over here, and eventually all of the Moroccan part falls to the rebellion. Merodrian invasion troops will now come over here onto this front to fight the rebellion, but it's already a bit too late, as now Merodria is fighting on 3 fronts, losing on all of them. When this happens, the Romani Empire and Galicia will quickly accelerate their invasion of Andalusia and proceed to take over the entire nation and capitulate it. Then on the Tanitian front, we'll have the Romani Empire make another landing over in here, and they'll split Tanish into 2 pieces, which are now fighting on their own. And then when all of this happens, when Merodria is about to fall, we'll have Teria doing something purely evil. Using their ancient claim over here into Djibouti, they'll do something very evil with it, and this is to go from here and invade into these major cities of Merodria. Merodria is stunned by this move. They didn't think that Teria will use this claim for anything. Most of the people even forgot that Teria even owns this. They haven't used it in a very long time. But in this war, in the War of Empires, they use it to take these 2 very, very important and huge Merodrian major cities. And this is gonna mark the end. As now the Algerian rebellion will start to grow over here into the Lovian parts. All of these regions that Merodria has annexed over centuries are now coming back to bite them and get their revenge, as now also the people of Lovia are rebelling away from Merodria and joining the Algerian rebellion. Merodria really doesn't have any troops left to fight and to defend their nation, and this will be shown by the fact that they are losing on all fronts. Now they lose this major city over here. Now Teria, with the help of all of their allies, will come into Africa and take the 3rd biggest major city of Merodria, the major city where the marriage was hosted, then proceed to take even more major cities, and then it is here that Merodria ends up losing all of its Mediterranean access to Teria and to the Algerian rebellion. And now we'll have Teria moving through these territories of the Merodrian Empire, push over here into these territories, nearing the 2nd biggest major city of Merodria. Then Teria will proceed to take 1 more major city, and then we'll have the final split take place. And we're gonna have Egypt rebel from Merodria. The old Egyptian nation, a nation that has existed around 700 years ago, a very old nation, but one that has kept its culture and has kept its heritage, and now it's here back on the map centuries after its collapse previously, now back rising from the ashes of the Merodrian Empire. And it is here that now Merodria gets knocked down from the throne, and the new most powerful nation in the world is Teria. Now Teria found itself as the new strongest nation in the world and has overtook the collapsing Merodria, and will now ensure that it will stay the #1 nation by doing a couple of things. As Teria relinquishes control of these coastal lands over here to Al-Dicta, and then we'll have the unification between Teria and Egypt as Egypt joins Teria, and Teria is growing stronger and stronger and has just become even larger, and then Teria will ensure that it will stay the #1 nation for a very long time, maybe even 1,000 years. As Teria unites over with the Clarion Union, and now we know what the Clarion Union actually was. It was a pact between Teria and the Turkish states to slowly but surely unify Turkey under one state that will then be united with Teria, and now the Clarion Union has fulfilled its actual role, that one being to unite with Teria and help it grow into the strongest nation in the world. And now the world is shocked as a new power had arrived to take the throne from Merodria. And then Teria will gather one of the biggest armies the world has ever seen and start to sweep across Merodria, taking the remains of the nation, as basically there is no one here to defend these northern parts, and they take these major cities, and from here Teria has almost completely discombobulated the Merodrian Empire. And the final hits will be dealt by Aldicta as they send their armies through here and encircle the capital of Merodria and start to push over here and cram them back to their original starting place. Merodria is one of the oldest nations in the world, in fact the second oldest, and it has existed for around 3000 years, ranging from the Merodrian city-state to the Merodrian Republic, to the Merodrian Kingdom, and now to the Merodrian Empire. But in this war, Merodria has been overwhelmed. They have gotten way too many enemies and they are attacked by everyone, even by their own people, considering that the rebellion that has just occurred. Merodria has lost all of its power and all of its wealth, and it turns out that the winner between the debate of Merodria or Aldicta is gonna be Aldicta. They have won the Battle of the OGs, and it is here that Merodria's book finally ends, as the Merodrian Empire falls completely and Merodria no longer exists. But the war is still not over, as there's still one last nation in this war. And this is the Romani Empire alongside its puppet over here in Galicia. They, once they saw Merodria fall, they never surrendered. In fact, they keep fighting. And not only is the Romani Empire still fighting, but they are fighting even more fiercely and even better, as now they take the capital of Tanish and kick them out fully of their mainland, only leaving them in Crete. And they'll even use this opportunity to annex their vassal over here in Galicia and make them a part of their nation, as they don't trust anyone else but themselves. Then they start to advance into Teria, and Teria is actually in a lot of trouble, and although we are just happy that they are the strongest nation in the world, now the world is concerned, as the Romani Empire seems to be very unstoppable and ready to take down Teria as a revenge of Merodria. But then the worst thing that could happen for the Romani Empire, aka the Southern Empire, happens, and this will cause them to get absolutely smacked around and get their empire defeated. Derlandia joins the Triangle Alliance. Although in recent episodes I've started showing Derlandia as weak, it's actually very strong and very capable of taking down the Southern Empire, Derlandia being known also as the Northern Empire, and they sweep across these regions of France into the Romani Empire in a very Nazi Germany style, as they take all of this region in just mere months. Also, they start to advance over here into these parts around the Alp mountains. They are very prepared for an invasion in the Alps, and the Romani Empire is now split into two pieces. This will not be the case for that much longer, as now we'll see liberation campaigns plus rebellions happen over here into Andalusia and Galicia, both being united back into Andalusia under a union known as the Siberian Union, aka the Siberian Union, and they will now liberate all of these territories from both nations, as they are now united under one. They re-liberate all of the territories from Andalusia, and then they do the same with Galicia and the Catalonian territories of the Romani Empire. Then they go and take the Balearic Islands, and now the union of the Siberians has been fulfilled. Teria will go and retake its territories over here back from the Romani Empire, and then they help Tanish to make a landing over here in Sparta, and with this we'll have Tanish re-liberate all of their nation just like this, and now Tanish is back to take down their biggest enemy ever. Tanish has suffered too much because of the Romani Empire, and it is in this year and this war that now the empire is about to fall, and now Tanish will move back through their former Yugoslavian territories they owned a very long time ago, even before the War of 1 AD, and then followed by the Landia moving back through these territories. And then, as if it couldn't get any worse, Teria makes a landing in Sicily. And then Teria moves through these territories of the Romani Empire, starting to chop down the Southern Empire. With the help of the rebellions, they also make a landing into Sardinia and into Corsica, taking these two islands. And then the Northern Empire will kind of have a race with Teria over who can dissolve the Romani Empire first. But then the Landia sees complications when they reach the very many major cities of the Romani Empire in their core land, and the winner of this race is gonna be Teria, as they snag the capital and this major city, and then in 752 AD we'll have their Landia go over here and swallow the rest. And with this we see the end of the War of Empires. The deadliest war in human history so far had come to an end, a war that has killed an approximate 5% of the world population and led to the demise of the Star Alliance, and most importantly the demise of the Merodian Empire. So let's see this peace treaty and how it will shape the world. Whoa! Well, this is the peace treaty, and we are now gonna break it down from what's the most important to the least important. First of all, Merodria no longer exists. It's not allowed to exist. The peace treaty states clearly that any sort of Merodrian state or Merodrian successor is strictly not allowed to exist, and if it does end up appearing one day, all of the members of the Triangle Alliance, which is Aldicta, Teria, Tanish, the new Siberian Union, and Derlandia will all have to come together and have a coalition against the new state. But over how Merodria is divided, we have the core of Merodria being swallowed by Aldicta. Egypt is annexed by Teria. Also Teria is now huge and the strongest nation in the world, as it took Egypt from Merodria and also has united with the Clerian Union. And for the reminiscences of Merodria over here into Algely and Lovia, we have the new African Union being formed over here into the Mediterranean coast. But now coming over to the Romani Empire and Galicia. First of all, Galicia no longer exists. It's united with Andalusia under the new Siberian Union. Also, as you can see, they decided to remove both of the old nation's capital and move it here into this middle city over here and make it as their capital. But other than this, other than the union between Andalusia and Galicia to form the Siberian Union, we also have the new union take the Catalonian and Balearic parts of the Romani Empire. Also, as you can see, the Romani Empire no longer exists. But first of all, we have Tanish actually being quite underpaid from this war, as they only get one province from the Romani Empire. Also, we see a new Yugoslavian nation being formed over into here. Then, surprisingly enough, we have the Farmers Union getting land. To be more exact, they get this one province out of the Romani Empire, and that's mostly as a gift from the Triangle Alliance for the Farmers Union, as they remain neutral during the war. Also, we see a new French state being formed in here. And then we see Derlandia taking a lot of land from the Romani Empire. First of all, they take this French coast over in here into the Atlantic. And then they take a lot of territories here in the south. And for the reminiscences of the Romani Empire, we'll have Derlandia and Teria come together and install a democratic government over in here, and we'll have the formation of the Second Romani Republic. Yep, that's right, the Republic has returned to the Romani Empire and we now have the Second Romani Republic. And this does it for the peace treaty, and this does it for the war. And other than that, this does it for today's video. I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you in the next era, the Age of Fragmentation. Goodbye.